Mr. Harrison,
Nor do I.
allocution, sir.
I wish that this is a case that I think is, on one hand, fairly straightforward. Miller and Espino were doing their jobs, trying to get Mr. Holmes to move from one area of the jail to another. In the state of mind that he was in, he told them that he thought his mother was talking to him from the other side of the room, from behind the wall, and all he wanted to do was get over there to hear what she had to say. A tussle ensued, and that was pretty much the end of it. As you can well imagine, the COs were able to subdue Mr. Holmes and place him in the detention cell that they had originally designed for him to visit. Let's talk about the subtle nuances of that, because the facts are fairly narrow, fairly succinct. Mr. Holmes had been a heavy drinker prior to his last incursion with the law that placed him in a place of confinement known as the Wexford County Jail. There was that. In anticipation of the effect that the sudden withdrawal of alcohol from his system might have, he talked to the jail medical staff and asked for some sort of medication to assist with that. As is often the case with psychotropic medications, this one had the desired effect of preventing him from craving the ingestion of alcohol. It also had the unfortunate consequence of letting him fall into a situation where he believed people were trying to communicate with him in the jail. So what does that mean? In the state of Michigan, it doesn't mean anything, as far as it's the old diminished capacity defense that we no longer have. Quite frankly, I don't know if it would even be applicable here if it were to exist. The facts are pretty straightforward, like I said. The other thing that I wish we could do more of in this case is I wish we could see what can only be described as a transformation in this case. When I first encountered Mr. Holmes, he looked to be about 10 or 12 years older than he is. His hair was even, I think, a more of a dingy gray color back then. I tell him every time I see him how much better he looks. And it's apparent to me that he has stopped drinking and that he has curtailed that behavior that led him to be in the jail and contributed in no small measure to his behavior while he was in the jail. He is not a violent person. His record has no indication of that. He's a mild-mannered, soft-spoken guy outside of these type of situations, which when we watched the video, when we talked about the facts of the case, it was sort of I can't even believe that I did that. I can't even believe that was me, because it was so out of character for him in the first place. Now, I realize I'm going a long way here for a recommendation that does not propose to put Mr. Holmes back in jail at the end of the day. Part of the reason I'm doing so is that he can hear yet again where his life is headed in a positive direction, and where this is a chapter of his life that, quite frankly, if he could close up and never revisit, he would be for the better. We know we can't do that, Your Honor. We know there is a sanction available here. We know he has some jail credit. We know it could be a consecutive sentence because this occurred in a place of confinement. That ship has sailed because the first sentence has already been served. We know this could have been a lot worse for him than it turned out to be. In effect, this is an old cliche, but I'll say it again. This was a positive event because it forced him to confront his issues with alcohol, and he has done so in a positive manner. got a little bit more pride in his appearance. He's went out and got new glasses, and I hope he sincerely continues the regrowth of his mustache. That's still an open debate at the Holmes household. This man before you is not a man who routinely assaults anyone, let alone persons in authority. He's got a great deal of respect for law enforcement and associated professions like that. He knows those guys were just doing their job that day. It seems a little bit strident to even place him on supervision in this case, but I certainly understand if the court chooses to do so. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ms. Carey?
Thank you, Your Honor. I think Mr. Holmes is doing better. He looks better. Mr. Harrison is right. This is not the first time though that he's resorted to violence.
I noted here the word, I wrote down the word violence at least 3 or 4 times on my PSI, so
Yeah.
I understand.
Well, and in this case, he tried to prevent them from putting him in his cell. He headbutted one of the officers, and he has prior convictions for assault. With that being said, I think he is doing better. I understand the guidelines again, and I am going to ask the court to follow the recommendation for Mr. Holmes. If it's not written there, I'm going to ask that it be included, and it probably is, that he comply and cooperate with any and all mental health recommendations made by the probation department. Thank you.
Mr. Holmes, is there anything you wish to say today, sir?
Sure, I guess I would. It's been a roller coaster ride for me. After my wife passed, I did drink a lot. I wanted to die, and it's the path that I was on. There's not a lot left here for me after she was gone, so I had to move on, and that's where I'm at, trying to move on.
Well, you said that there's not much left here for you. What is left for you?
I don't know.
No, come on. You're 56. That's not that old. I get to say that now.
It's not a lot left. Could you ask
What?
me why?
56?
I feel like that was the only thing I had was her.
Who's back over there?
She's 80, that's my mom. She ain't got too many years left either.
I don't know about that. She doesn't, she looks pretty young. So,
Well, she's pretty self-sufficient for 80. She does her best. She does.
Yeah.
I'm not changing her back for, I already told her that.
yeah, well.
I'll
you
dump
might-
them, but I'm not changing.
No, come on now. She changed a couple of yours, I guarantee it, so. All right, well, Mr. Holmes. I want you to get rid of that thought, that mindset, all right? That's not right. Okay? I know you're feeling pretty down today. I've got it. I know you've mentioned some sad things here, but we all have sad things in our lives. We all make dumb choices from time to time. Right? So there are things to live for. 56 is still pretty young. It better be. That's what I tell myself. So I'm not 56 yet, but I'm close. So let's get rid of that mindset. Mom, help them find some happy things. Do you have any hobbies, sir?
No, I camp in the basement and play video games. I guess I'm like,
Oh, okay. Let's stop that right now. Right? Let's,
if I never had to leave my dungeon, I'd probably be all right.
well, no.
Space
let's look at it outside. There's sun out there.
I gave her the whole top of the house. I said, I just want a little room in the basement. I'm good.
No, get yourself a bike. Go out, go hiking. Enjoy the sunshine. We live in a great place. Get outside and enjoy it. All right, so I'll tell you, Mr. Holmes, I'm a little concerned about what to do here. When people are violent, resisting arrest, running away from police officers, leading people on high-speed chases, or fighting with somebody in corrections. That's really quite difficult for me. I started my legal career as a legal advisor at the United States Disciplinary Barracks. There is a very dangerous, being inside of a jail cells and being inside of a prison and stuff like that is very, very dangerous. Corrections officers have no idea what an inmate's going to be like from time to time. They don't know what's going on. I mean, they're trying to keep track of whether or not there's any drugs being passed, whether people are acting up. Working inside of a jail is difficult. I also used to teach corrections, and I used to teach at the military police school. So I have a pretty good understanding of how difficult that job is. So quite honestly, I look and just say, why not just give the guy jail? You've got plenty of reasons here, because you do have some issues with violence in the past. 2017, a domestic violence reduced to a disturbing peace. That was followed up 2 years later with an assault and battery. That was followed up a couple of years later with an accident, an auto accident. Let me go back here. You had a stalking issue in '98. You had another disturbing the peace in 2000. So I'm a little concerned there about you. And if it's when you're drinking alcohol, apparently, right? You have an alcohol issue, right?
I did have an alcohol issue.
You did?
Your Honor, as my wife passed, I started going to church, and the only person I had was God, and I quit drinking before me to quit drinking.
All right.
And I'm very proud of that. I give him credit for that, because it wasn't the court that took alcohol away from me.
Yeah.
It was something else, and I woke up one day and didn't want alcohol. And then I didn't know this was gonna happen. I didn't even know the scoring system was gonna happen.
Let's change some of your verbiage, okay? Just because you may have some remission here, there's still an alcohol issue.
I don't disagree with you, Your Honor.
All right. Well, I also empathize a bit here. You were off these medications. I know Mr. Harrison's right. We don't have the diminished capacity defense. I won't take time to define what that means, but I'm just going to say, but I do understand. I'd gone when the jail used to be in the old building. I'd gone there to see my dad, and he was talking to somebody in the drains. Right? There was nobody in the drains. I asked the sheriff back then, Sheriff Finstrom, do you have people downstairs talking through the drains? He said no, so I believed him. But I understand. Now, again, you got your mom. Get out of the house. Everybody here is recommending that I go with what Mr. Van Atwell recommends. I'm almost going to. I'm going to place you on a slightly longer period of probation for 24 months. I adopt the terms and conditions for probation that are listed on CFJ 145, pages 2 and 3. I find that those conditions are well suited for rehabilitative purposes, especially considering the defendant's criminal past and issues with substance use disorder. The court sentences the defendant to 5 days with 5 days of credit, a $68 state minimum fee, a $130 crime victims' right fund fee, a $300 court cost, a $500 fine, a $300 attorney fee, supervision fees of $30 a month or $60 a month if there is any electronic monitoring. Now, I need to take a look here. Is this the defendant's first felony conviction? Yeah, failure to report, larcenies. Yeah, this is your first felony conviction, which means I have to put an end date on it. Which 5 days to 40 or 30 months. Right, 30 months, yes. 5 days to 30 months with 5 days of credit. Have I missed anything, Mr. Van Atwell? Oh, the DNA fee, sorry, thank you. DNA fee of $60 payable to the Washburn County Sheriff Department. How about that? Anything else, sir? Ms. Carey,
Nothing else.
Mr. Harrison,
I'm satisfied with the record. Your Honor.
Mr. Holmes, go find yourself a hobby outside of your basement, please.
It's almost baseball season.
Get outside, man. Get outside. We're adjourned.
Thank you. Your Honor.
Thank you.